Welcome to another episode of the David Daily. I'm so excited to be here sharing live news for a daily live show. Our format, if you're tuning in for the first time, my name is David Goecke. I'm happy to be your host. And today we are on a third episode. Can you believe it? It's already been 3 episodes. So our format is simple. We talk about current news. We talk about quantum topics, of course, AI and faith, which is our social cause. And then, of course, we close the show down with Beyond the Bag. And if you tuned in yesterday, I had the opportunity to meet with Richmond Taylor. Go back, watch episode 2, and you'll really love that artificial intelligence demonstration. It was quite fun. So, today, what is on the news for December 3rd? So there are a couple of really interesting key topics. So Svedka is going to run a Fembot AI powered Super Bowl ad. And in fact, it's interesting because it's fully AI generated and it's a concept spot for the Super Bowl pushing AI creativity into mainstream advertising. And this marks the first major brand that's really betting on an AI first storytelling at the biggest ad event of the entire year. So if you haven't started using AI for ads, this is the perfect opportunity to lean in because AI ads are definitely here. We're seeing them on smart TVs, on your phone, on your tablet, on YouTube, on every major platform. And so AI advertising is absolutely here to stay. And I'm very excited because, of course, you may or you may not know this, but I was part of an organization called Grad TV, which allows you to buy with one click from the television and also engage audiences and live audiences with polling. And I'm very excited to be able to integrate that with this live show coming soon. And one of our key theses is that the advertising space is ripe and ready for innovation. So I cannot wait to see that innovation come to life. And AI advertising is a huge aspect of that. All right. The second big topic in the news today is that Anthropic makes a quiet move toward a blockbuster IPO. This is game changing. Behind the scenes, Anthropic is planning to be what would be potentially one of the largest AI IPOs in all of history. So, if this is the first time tuning into the show, welcome. Thank you. This is a new show going live daily. And the AI IPO is an initial public offering on the stock market. And the signals include increased enterprise partnerships, scaling revenue, and positioning investors to go IPO. You may have heard of Chat GPT and OpenAI, and some of those members left OpenAI to create Anthropic. And that's where we have the platform called Claude today. Maybe you've heard of Claude. And as a result of Claude, you may know that Claude is a competing AI platform like ChatGPT and like Google Gemini. So that's very interesting, very unique. And in our third level of news, one of the third things we have to say is that Eventbrite is going to be acquired by Bending Spoons for $500 million. Can you say $500 million? I don't know about you, but with Nvidia being at the top of the market, hitting $5 trillion in market capitalization, $5 trillion. That's 1,000 billion. That's 1,000,000. I can't even comprehend that. I mean, when is the last time you ever saw 1 million people? I mean, when's the last time you saw 1,000 people? Maybe on the subways in New York. When's the last time you saw 100,000 of anything, let alone specks of sand on the seashore? I was recently at the Big House in Michigan watching none other than the Wolverines by University of Michigan, Go Blue, and they house 110,000 people in their stadium. Okay, so take that Now multiply that by 10 stadiums. Okay, that is just 1 million. Okay, now take those 10 stadiums and multiply that by 500. We're talking about 1,000 Michigan stadiums. And every single one of those stadiums have, guess what? $1 in every seat. That would be $500 million. I can't even imagine it. And then multiply that by 2 and you get $1 billion. And guess what? Nvidia is making massive investments, acquiring companies for $1 billion here and there. Now take that and then multiply that by another 1,000, and that's 1 trillion. And then multiply that by 5. It's just mind blowing, the size of technology startups today. And Eventbrite being acquired for 500 million is quite a unique acquisition. And this deal actually aims to integrate this creator first tool set for events, for meetups, for gatherings in person, and expanding Bending Spoon's portfolio of global digital platforms. I think this is a really interesting move. It shows me that more people want to gather in person, more people want to be connected together. And then the fourth piece of news is that Comcast is eyeing Warner Brothers Discovery and an NBC Universal merger. This would be a massive merger combining Warner Brothers Discovery and NBC Universal. So during my grad TV days, went to the National Association of Broadcasters convention in Vegas 2 years in a row. Shout out to all of my NAB people who are watching this. And what would happen is that this would completely change and reshape the entertainment landscape forever. Why? Because it would consolidate major streaming brands and studio powerhouses underneath just one roof. Now, we know that from our study over the past 3 years that the entertainment and media industry as a whole is ripe for transformation. Why? Because people are cutting their cords, they're no longer watching cable or dish. Streaming platforms are struggling as well because you have break even and people are struggling to pay their subscriptions, they're sharing across their households and all those things. And also, on top of that, guess what? People are just watching less TV. Now, in a recession, of course, people are going to watch more shows, consume more content. And then, of course, you have the content production. What happens when you watch that last episode of Billions, or you watch that last episode of Game of Thrones, or my personal favorite, Yellowstone? Come on, I'm wearing a Carhartt right now. So that is a space that is ripe for innovation. So if you're thinking about where in the ecosystem of all of the industries you want to be positioned, being positioned in the middle of the entertainment space is a huge opportunity. And then finally, this year, the fifth piece of tech news, current news, corporate news for December 3rd, 2025 is that Apple, one of the favorites of Wall Street, is slated for record iPhone shipments in 2025. Why? Because now everyone has two phones. I mean, my grandma has two phones. I mean, everyone is getting multiple phones and they're upgrading, they're utilizing multiple screens. And that is why Apple is on slate for the highest shipment numbers in years. In fact, the new on device AI features, the upgraded hardware, and the global markets are rebounding. What's really interesting is now you need to think about how to solve for a two device normal. No longer are we talking about the second screen. So we're talking about the big screen, right, which is the TV. We have the medium screen, which is the laptop, and we have the small screen, which is your phone. But we also have the micro screen, right, which is your wearable device like an Apple Watch or a Ray-Ban glasses or any other device like a Samsung Galaxy watch or a Fitbit, anything that has a screen. And now we're actually seeing that multiple screens is completely a norm. I mean, kids are used to it, right? They have a phone and an iPad. Adults, of course, we're used to it. We have our laptop, our big screen, our small screen, our watch were always plugged in. You go to a sporting event or you go to a theater, you're going to see lots of screens. If you're traveling, you're going to see lots of screens. And so it's no wonder that Apple is slated to be a record iPhone shipment. And plus, it's kind of a fashion statement. If you don't have the new orange iPhone 17, a limited release, then are you even popular? Are you even trending? And furthermore, when I got this phone, this is the iPhone 14, it only came in this, I guess you could call it like a slated purple in just 1 year. And so I will be out on the street and people will see me and they'll say, "Oh yeah, you have the purple phone," and I do carry it without a case. So it's no wonder that Apple is going to hit record sales this year. And of course, those come with all of your telecom contracts, long-term contracts with AT&T and T-Mobile and Verizon, which are the top three. So that concludes the current news section of the show. So if you're still watching, just drop a comment. Let me know where you're tuning in from. This is a daily show. I know in the beginning here, the live aspect over the lunch hour will get a little bit lower viewership, but the replays are going to be phenomenal. And I cannot wait to see you in the replay. So when you see this, just drop a comment. Let me know which one of those 5 pieces of news is most interesting to you, whether it's Svedka over the Super Bowl, Anthropic, quietly preparing for IPO, Eventbrite actually getting acquired for 500 million, Comcast eyeing a massive merger with NBCUniversal, or fifth, Apple slating to be, of course, one of the record retail sales masters of the year. All right, the second segment of the show is quantum topics. So, quantum topics introduction is the key thing that I want to talk about right now. So, what is quantum? Why don't we start with the basics? Okay, so normal computers, you're talking about a brand new computer that you would have gotten back in the 80s. It uses a concept called bits. Okay, a bit is nothing but something that is a 0 or a 1. Now, quantum uses something called qubits, and qubits can be either 0 or 1 or both at the same time. And this is what makes quantum so powerful. Now, we're going to learn this together. I am not an expert on quantum, but if you're watching this and you're an expert on quantum, I'd like to personally invite you to come onto the show and share your wisdom, especially if you're a venture capital or angel investor who has invested over 500K into early stage startups. So, yes, this is a call for investors and quantum topics experts who can talk about some of these quantum topics and where you see the investment market going and the startup market going. Of course, we know that the major tech companies like Facebook, Google, Amazon, Microsoft, and many others are investing very heavily, not just into AI capacity, but also genuinely into quantum technology. And so we're going to learn this together. And there's 3 main concepts of quantum. And I'm learning this kind of for the first time as well. So first, you have superposition. Second, you have entanglement. And third, you have interference. So basically, superposition, the first concept, is suggesting that these qubits can be in multiple places simultaneously. It's kind of like flipping a coin. Today, if you flip a coin, it might be heads, it might be tails. But superposition says that until it lands, it's both heads and tails at the same time. So when we talk about superposition, it means that quantum computers can explore many concepts at the same time, which make them very, very powerful from a superposition point of view. Okay, the second concept is entanglement. If you're listening to this, just say entanglement with me. Entanglement. And it just simply means that 2 qubits become linked So changing one of the qubits immediately affects another qubit. And what happens is this gives a an ability for quantum computers to supercharge coordination and speed independent of the distance. So for example, a quantum entanglement can say that we have one qubit on one side of the world and we have one qubit on the entire other side of the world, and they can be completely linked independent of the distance. And when one qubit is changed, the other also changes too. Maybe you've heard of the concept of, or the old saying of, if a tree falls in the middle of the forest and no one hears it, does it actually make a sound? You may have also heard of the chaos theory, which is to say, a butterfly could flap its wings on one side of the earth and a hurricane could happen on the other side of the earth. Now, use this silly example to demonstrate the concepts of entanglement. So, entanglement means that I have two qubits. Just imagine this is a qubit, imagine this is a qubit. If I move this qubit, this one will move at the same time because they are entangled. What I do to one must be affected by the other. And that is the concept of entanglement. Now, the third concept, all right, if you're listening to this on the live show, just put interference in the comments because the third concept is interference. Put some emojis into the chat, post your link. Just let people know that you're watching the live show. And so quantum systems, right? What happens with quantum systems? They can amplify the right answers and cancel out the wrong ones at the same time. So for example, in the supercomputer space, it allows you to, with a supercomputer, actually tune in right to the correct solution and completely eliminate what is incorrect. So this concept is called interference. And the reason why this is so powerful, think about it. If you were to take a test and you knew that no matter what happened, you could apply interference to that test. Maybe you're a student, or maybe you're in college thinking about how you can utilize LinkedIn, or maybe you're in front of an audience and you have to be an expert in your particular area of focus. The concept of inference says that as a qubit starts to move towards the right answers, those right answers actually get amplified and the wrong answers actually get canceled out. And this concept is really important. So why does all this matter? So quantum computers and quantum topics matter for many reasons. First of all, it really changes the game with technology. Of course, you can imagine before we had this concept of I either get zero or I get one. And now we can get both. And that is the concept of a qubit, which can be in multiple states at the same time, right? I can have a coin that while it's in the air, it's flipping over and over, and it is both heads and tails simultaneously. Secondly, of course, entanglement. One qubit becomes linked with another qubit, and together they affect each other independent of how far away they may be located. And then finally, interference. We have this concept of interference, which says that as one concept becomes right, another concept becomes poor or canceled out. And so as a result, we really understand that quantum computers are designed to solve some of these problems that are really complex and really difficult and really challenging. I'm looking for my drink of the show, which is my none other than my Gatorade lemon lime thirst quencher, and it is a 12 fluid ounce. I always love to have something to drink on the show. That's kind of something that's part of this show, so I'm gonna take a quick drink. And so, drug discovery, advanced materials, logistics, climate modeling, cryptocurrency and security, of course, and accelerating AI with new reasoning models. These are all areas where quantum computing will succeed very, very quickly. So the simple takeaway of all of this is that quantum means exploring many possibilities at once, where traditional computing would say, let's just check one possibility at a time. And that's an entire difference in power. So that is super interesting. I just want to say that if you're here watching for the first time, please like this video feed. Every single like matters. Every single comment really adds value. I do read all of the comments. And of course, if you can hit the subscribe button, tap on that notifications, just click all notifications so that when we go live, you get to see us on the show. And I love actually being here on the show because it gives me an awesome opportunity to showcase the things that I really care about, like quantum topics, and of course, going into our next segment, which is AI and faith. So I absolutely love these topics because there is a new there's a new organization in town with a new general president, and that's AI and Faith. AI and Faith is here to stay. It is an organization I enjoy participating in. And just yesterday, we had a community gathering, and it was just wonderful to get together with other people who really care about technology, specifically the impacts of religion, faith, and even spirituality. And yesterday, we talked about this concept called spiritual but not religious. Spiritual but not religious. So if you would consider yourself spiritual but not religious, then this absolutely is for you. This is the concept that no longer do you follow religion, laws, rituals that are maybe even traumatizing, maybe even taking you back to a place of humanity. No, it actually elevates you into a spiritual alignment with your spiritual calling. And I really liked what our GM said yesterday that there's a rise in people who are spiritual beings in human bodies, but spiritual people, right, who are ready to live in relationship over religion, right? It is faith, not fear. It is a divine God. And if you believe in Jesus Christ or you're a Christian, then it's Jesus Christ and the Holy Spirit, which is just a wonderful thing to be able to say on a live stream. But if you're Buddhist or Hindu, or if you're Jewish, you believe in Yahweh, God, it means Yahweh in the Jewish culture. But if you're agnostic or if you're atheist, you might not believe in God, but you can still see spiritual things. So that is why I really love AI and faith. And if you haven't been to aiandfaith.org, I would encourage you to go there, click on the link. We have a Mighty Networks community, which is wonderful. Of course, we have an AI and Faith podcast, which is so great. We have experts from all over the world, from the Vatican to the highest upper echelons of the technology space, of course, to every major religion in the world. And I would just encourage you to say that if you're a minority or someone who has skin that is of a minority resemblance or an ethnicity, like African or Southeast Asian or even Muslim descent, we're looking for more diversity. And being someone who I would consider myself a man of color, I am born of an immigrant Korean mother. I would say that we need more representation from an equal representation of all perspectives and views, because that's what makes AI and faith really wonderful. All right. Finally, is our Beyond the Bag segment. This is my favorite segment. If you're watching this, Beyond the Bag is so fun. I've had just a wonderful, blessed opportunity to travel full time, being completely free of location and free of time. And one thing I love to do is pack light. While the world is traveling, looking for the material, chasing the things that they love so that they can buy it and put it into a place of residence or a storage unit, buying the things what did they say? They say people are caught up buying things that they don't need with money that they don't have to please people that they don't like. So I say that with a smile on my face, but it's so true. When I was younger, I chased all sorts of things to please people, right? I choose the material, I chose myself, I chose all the things and stacked up so many material possessions. But guess what? You never see a U-Haul following a hearse, right? You never see someone packing up their entire estate and burying it with them when they are put into the ground. So why do we chase material things? That's such an interesting philosophical and existential question, which if you have a thought, please put that in the comments. Would love to hear that. So I pack a very light bag. In fact, my bag that I typically travel with is this one right here. This is a very simple 35-liter North Face bag. I really love it. It's a flex vent bag. Okay, and I've got my little patch here. I've got my hooks and my lock. Um, so this is all I travel with. Like internationally, this is one of my personally favorite bags. It's got like mesh in here. Of course, drink holder's got a little small bag here. It's got lots of pockets. You need lots of pockets, which is so fun. And then of course, it's got the big bag in the middle. And then of course, it's got a laptop sleeve with a laptop suction and for bag wires and all the things. And so I personally really, really love this bag for so many reasons. And so the beyond the bag segment is when I pull something out of my bag and show it to you and tell you why I absolutely love it. So today I'm pulling this light out of my bag. Now, this is a magnetic LED strip. It is about 12 inches long, just 1 inch wide, and it has three settings. That has an on setting, so it turns on. So this is why I like it. Now you know, because that light is just so awesome. But it also has an auto mode, which on the auto mode, it is motion detected, which is really wonderful. And then of course, you can change the brightness of it because sometimes you really don't want to have super bright light, but sometimes you want to have a really bright light. So I love this because I can put this on auto mode, set it to the side, and then when I walk into maybe a camping area or my bed for the night, I have a light. It's not too bright and it's just perfect. And if for whatever reason I don't have my studio light with me, I can also use this as a light bar to light up my face. And so you can get that dimensionality of the light. You can even put it above you. You can change it, even get it out of the scene. The back of it, I have magnetic strips here. So I have magnet strips here where you can actually attach these if you're going to be more permanent. Like for example, in a vehicle, like an adventure vehicle, or a recreational vehicle like a fifth wheel trailer or a class B sprinter van. We're not going to get into all that on this show, but beyond the bag, my segment today is all about this LED light. So that is the Beyond the Bag for December 3rd. It's such an awesome light. I travel with it wherever I go. It's always in my bag, and it charges very quickly with the USB-C. So USB-C is the new iPhone charger right here, and you can just immediately put that in. It lights up red when it's charging, and then that will just turn green, just like many chargers that you have. So I really do like that it can just charge on a laptop battery. All right, that is our show for today. Folks, if you've been watching, I just want to say thank you so much for tuning in. You are the early core audience of the David Daily episode number 3. And I'm super grateful for each and every viewer who watches this during the live stream or watches this later. And if you found value in this, please let me know. Please reach out on LinkedIn. You can find me at David Goecke, of course, or you can find me on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Kick. I mean, we're on Twitch, all of the major platforms underneath David. J. Goecke. And on that, I'm going to sign off and say thank you so much for watching. It's been an incredible day today. I hope you're blessed. Have a wonderful December and tune in tomorrow at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time in New York City and 8 a.m. Pacific Time if you're in LA or Seattle and everywhere in between. Be blessed, folks. Signing off.